Okay, so it's the next day. I'm just working on this, okay? Get it done with, right? I told Andre I want to have a good day. I only have so much energy. It's hard for Nana to see, right? Which, sucks up energy, right? And let me just do what I gotta do because I want to clear out this kitchen so that we can get into making some good food and he can be the chef that he wants to be, right? Do you see those up there? Those are pasta machines, right? I don't know if you can see them there in my finger. Anyway, I got 2 electric ones. I don't think one's ever been used. The one that's in the box, I don't even think that one's ever been used. Another one in a bag. And then I've got, I'm pretty sure, the hand crank one. So, after this is all said and done, we'll pull them down and we'll take a boo. And I already offered one to Tisha, but she says she doesn't want it. Or was it my son? I don't know. But maybe if I use it with Andre and feed them some homemade pasta, spinach pasta, or whatever. And then maybe they might want the machine, like with those mix masters, right? Otherwise, that will go up on my blind woman's auction. I'm wondering, I'm thinking, should I sell my gong? My big one? When am I ever going to go out and do any kind of event in the community, people, with that gong? But gongs are kind of cool, though, right? I'm going to keep it for little May and Kyrie and Amari. Or anybody else, for that matter. People just like banging on a gong. Why? Okay, so I've been just like a mad Dixon, getting everything ready. So, what I'm finding, and I mean it's reasonable, when you have 44 pounds or 25 pounds of a food product, and you get your 6-gallon or 5-gallon buckets with your 5 to 6 gallon Mylar bags, and you empty a bag into a bag, right? And it fills up the whole bucket. Boy, that's fast. That's great. Easy peasy. I like that. However, I don't want everything stored like that, especially now that I'm at the end and topping off. So I am going to do the same thing that I did yesterday with the black rice and the cantatelli beans. And I'm going to do it with the black beluga lentils as well as some of this. Now, I don't remember how much I paid for this. All I know is this kind of rice is very, very expensive. This is only like 5 pounds or something, right? I think for 25 pounds or something, or 22 pounds, it was like $185. And, I was buying the white wheat and whatever, the Great Northern beans, and I'll probably go back and buy again, but that's in 4 months from now, after everything's all nice and organized, and so when you vacuum seal them and do them like this is great. I like this, but it's time consuming. Obviously, it's easier if you can see. It's not so arduous, right? But I can still do it, so that's what I'm going to do with the beluga lentils and some of that. But when you do it in that size, and then you try and put it into a bucket, and I already knew it wasn't going to be uniform, conforming in the bucket uniformly, unless, of course, you put the bag in, pour in, and then it kind of uniforms. But outside of that, so in a 5-gallon bucket, I had, 6 of these? Only 5 bags could fit into the 5-gallon bucket like this. Space-wise, but I already have 1 bucket full of telly beans just in a paper bag and then a Mylar bag with a gallon. So okay, whatever. So this here will go into maybe a mix match container in terms of, before you go digging for that over there, you might want to look in that container because you might find what you need there, right? Because it's mixed batch. So anything left over will go into a different container where it's, you know, easy to get to, right? Just saying, okay? Now, I could really keep it easy on myself and just open up this big bag, just pour it in the way I go, but no, I'm going to take the time to do exactly what I did yesterday, right? I like the result of what I'm getting here. You can see, we'll go into my little cubby on the floor. Oh, I don't have my glasses. Not that I can see with the glasses. Trying to color code a little bit. So these are the oats, right? I tasted them. Oh man, they are so good. Now this is 44 pounds minus what I couldn't get in here. That's, well, I guess right here, right? And then I have another 44 pounds that I haven't bucket up yet because I had to order new buckets, right? Okay, with the yellow lid. So that when I go downstairs, I'm just, well, actually, you know, that's not true. I'm actually debating about bringing up a bag at a time and vacuum sealing them, just like I'm doing now, and leave this one as the scoop it out as you go, where the other ones, the other 44 pounds, will be bagged up like I've been now, right? And put in buckets or some kind of a plastic container. Ideally a rectangle, or, you know, like a Rubbermaid, but the problem with the Rubbermaid is the plastic isn't as sturdy as this, right? But, you know, I'm out and about looking around, so maybe I'm going to go to Walmart this month and wander around in a mall. I hear that Bed and Bath is going out of business. I don't know if that's in Canada. And the mall I'm going to has a Bed and Bath, so maybe I'll go in there and I'll look for containers, because, you know, you want to utilize your space, right? So ideally I like them stacked because you get more in versus than in a bucket if you're doing the brown paper bag system, right? So those 2 bags downstairs at 44 pounds, I might bring up a bag at a time when I have the energy and vacuum seal brown paper into plastic, into Mylar, and then into a harder type plastic container, preferably a rectangle container with a good lid. And then that will be perfect, right? And I probably won't get any of these oats for a while, unless, of course, my family as a whole takes an interest, to which makes me want to, I don't know, express, I guess you could say, that, you know, as parents, right? Like, how do we teach our kids certain things? You know, they don't necessarily adopt our values, right? My son, why do you expect me to have the same values as you, Mom? Well, I don't know. You know, you're my son, and, you know, I want you to be wholesome, and, you know, but at this stage of the game where I'm at with what I'm doing here, you know, he's not quite there yet. But so what I'm saying is, and I've been like this pretty much my whole life with my kids, when I could and where I could, I always provided the opportunity for them to do things if they wanted to, because it was available. The resources were available. That's one reason why I have a lot of books, and I have a lot of craft stuff and musical instruments, so that if they were inclined to want to play a musical instrument, they had access to the musical instrument. And like my son, he ended up getting bass guitars, and I had a computerized mixer that he scooped up on, and he actually, I don't know what he's done with it. I've asked him for it back, and I don't have it. And I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. Same thing with I had bought a program from Long and McQuaid to record music sounds, right? Just whatever, right? And then, you have a program that you plug all these different sounds in and you mix them together to make music. He borrowed that. It had his own mic, everything, right? He borrowed that. I asked him if I could get it back because I want Andre to, I don't know. It's not that he doesn't know where it is. He doesn't want to give it back to me. So that's what I mean by I provided my kids the opportunity to have not everything that they wanted, but at least some things. Well, this is kind of like the same way. So as I'm going about my chores here, I love these buckets. These are great. But they sure stack up fast, man. Well, at least in my house. So I'm going to have my stash upstairs, right? And then like this one here is going downstairs. This one is hard white wheat. Then we've got the red lentils that I bought just the last time I went out to go see the eye doctor. They're not organic, but that's okay. Right, in a bucket. And then we've got the oat groats and the hard white wheat. And so as the surplus is spilling over, this is what I'm saying, right? Because that's surplus, okay? I'm just going to make it available in Auntie ShaMay's room. And I'm going to tell my son, see these buckets, these 2-gallon buckets, this. As you go about your business cooking, because he wants to know what he can put his fingers on without me, don't touch it, right? So, I have, he wants the older meat up in front in terms of the jars, that kind of stuff, right? So that's what I'm going to be focusing on over the next few months, right? And make it more available for him, right? Because, he cooks all the time with his girlfriend. And, especially if I get worse with this, I'm at the mercy of my son and his cooking skills. So the better food I give him, the better it is for me. And the thing about my son, though, is he's kind of lactose intolerant when it comes to dairy products. And I guess wheat is hard for him in terms of digesting, or upsets the stomach, or just like he's lactose intolerant, he's wheat intolerant. But his girlfriend likes bread. And I said, well, wait until I start doing the sourdough and that kind of stuff, right? Because then it's a different kind, because it's real wheat that you're using, not store-bought flour. The nutrients in the bread itself is different, and people begin to notice changes over a period of time if they eat it regularly. So, with that said, and plus I've got the spelt, right, which is the most easiest one to digest. So through that process of me doing what I'm doing, I'm going to make it available to my son and his girlfriend. I already got the food mill. If they want to borrow it, they can borrow it. Or if they want to be stubborn, they can go off and buy their own once they decide that they like doing this. Because I was like, this week, here's your opportunity to expand on your baking skills. Right? Whatever those baking skills are. And if he gives it a fair shake and finds that it's easy to digest compared to store-bought bread, right? And it's fulfilling and he's satisfied with the nutrients, then yeah, by all means, it wouldn't be long before my son's making bread, okay? Like an old farm boy, growing up on the farms, and then when they're men, that's what they do. They make bread. They do a lot of things in the kitchen. Well, I used to make 50 pies with my son. He'd do the dough, and I'd peel and cut the apples, right? And he'd roll it and put it in the trays for me, and I'd fill them up, and he'd roll it and cover them up, and you know, yeah. And then we wrap them up and put them in the freezer, 50 at a time. So he's got those skills. It's just, so anyway, that's what these extra buckets are for. There's going to be a section in Auntie ShaMay's room where it's going to be available, because I can't teach him how to make the bread. All I can do is give him the tools to make the bread, and you know, the ingredients to make the bread. And I've got tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of books around the house to make the bread. I've got the bread pans, I've got the wheat mill, I've got everything you could possibly want. So it's just a matter of the motivation. So you can lead the horse to the water as a parent. You can give them the water, but it doesn't mean they're going to drink it. Does that mean that they don't have the same values as you? Well, to some degree, yes, and to other degrees, no. Because, you know, like, when I get really frustrated, right, with family life, okay, in terms of my kids don't necessarily have my values. Okay, this is one of my values. This is farm, homegrown, on the farm, cooking on a wood stove, you know, that kind of stuff, right? Milking the cow, having access to real cream that's been not pasteurized, you know, making homemade sausage, collecting eggs, whatever, right? You know, they don't, for whatever reason, they can't connect to that. I can. But with that comes survival instincts, right? And a sense of independence and just whatever, right? So when they don't latch on because they've been led astray with city life and social media and all that stuff, they don't necessarily value what I value. But I still try and provide to them what I can. So whatever I'm doing for my son, obviously I'm going to be encouraging Tisha to let a little Leia May take her, and I'll buy little buckets because I got her a little wheat grinder, right? It might take a Leia May to really get Tisha making the bread. Or maybe Tisha might like making the bread once, right? But I think I already told her, you have to come here and I'll make bread with you for a few times. And then you can go home with a bucket, a couple of buckets, right, of this various wheat products and the little grinder that I bought for Leia May, and you can go home and make bread with her, right? We haven't gotten to that point yet, right? Because I'm still sorting it out and organizing it and everything. The point is I do plan on passing on this to my kids. Whether they take it or not remains to be seen. But my son likes to eat and he likes to cook. And his girlfriend likes to cook and she likes bread. And I'm sure once I start working with this wheat, whether I'm doing homemade pasta in a pasta machine that nobody wants, even though I've got 3 of them up there, pretty soon I might not have any of them up there once I start making some wicked pasta with this homemade flour. Yeah, right? Be like, damn, Mom, where did that come from? I'll be like, I made it. Well, how did you do that? Well, here, I'm sitting there. It's been sitting there for months. Go ahead, try it for yourself. That's how sometimes we have to teach kids. Just give them time to migrate towards these things. Or they never do, right? Because not everybody is a baker. But if you like to eat and times get tough, this is the best way to do it, right? This ensures that you're not getting bug flour in your food, okay? Like literally. And you get to be creative with it because like these black beluga lentils, you know, in terms of like a sourdough bread with olives and Parmesan cheese and, you know, that kind of stuff on top baked right into the bread. It would be nice to have a few sprouted, not too many, but a few sprouted black beluga lentils mixed in on top with that, right? It won't hurt you. It will be good for you, right? But you have to prepare it for that day. It doesn't happen just because you think about it. You have to make it happen. And of course, I can't see, so hold on. I'm moving like a snail, too. Uncle John used to walk slow. I'm starting to walk like Uncle John. I think I lost my glasses. That's what I'm finding out. Now I know why he walked the way he walked. I walk like him now. More so. Yeah. Well, I don't know. I seem to have lost him. Okay, so bucket for the beluga lentils. We already got the black rice in here, right? And there's just enough room for a small bag, maybe 3/4 of the size, a half a size of what I've already got in terms of this size with the black rice, that I can put the black wild rice in here. So I'll put black wild rice. But it's not all going to go in there, right? I don't know if a 6-gallon bucket would make much difference. Again, when you're getting into your vacuum sealed bags like that, it's better if they're stored in a rectangle container, right? All in a row. You get more in. It's just you want the right kind of container in the event that you get those house rats. Or even a mouse. A mouse, I don't know. I don't know if a mouse could chew through a Rubbermaid container, but if that's all you got, then use that. So this is what we're going to vacuum seal right here. This came from U-Pick. I already have some of these that I got from Nestor's when they were having a discount sale on a whole bunch of products in their store because they're changing over management, right? Or owner or whatever it was. And so they were removing the stock that company doesn't sell any longer. So that's why I didn't have a problem to get this, because when you look at the nutrient value of the product itself, it's extremely, extremely high. And all kinds of nutrients. Yeah. So it's worth the investment. And when you're paying, I don't know what I paid for this, you know, but when you're paying anywhere from $80 to $125 a pop for 22 pounds or 25 pounds, or in the case of the hard white wheat, but that wasn't organic, that was what, $125 for 55 pounds, which was a good deal. Right? You know, you definitely want to look after it. So that's what I'm going to do. So, oh yes, and then I've got the white rice. Now I've got white rice downstairs all over the place. I just can't get to it right now. Right? That will be the next chore. I have to get the mattress that's down there blocking my other food storage area upstairs. And I can't do that till springtime or so. I don't know. That's going to be a real big chore. But there's rice in there, right? But this is a new bag. So, and rice doesn't, white rice will last forever, right? So I paid something like $52 for that bag. I thought it was cheaper than that, but when I looked at the bill, it came out to be like 52 or 56 bucks or something. Okay, whatever, I got it now. The only thing is I have no white gamma lids for a 5 or 6 gallon bucket. That's the one color I didn't buy yet. And technically, if I'm going to start putting at least a few bags of quality rice into a bucket, well, the best lid for it would be a white lid, because then you'd know, right? Black, you know, right? The green, like I said, is the wheats. The yellow is the oats. The oranges at this point are beans. It doesn't matter what the bean is. Outside of maybe, black beans I'd put in with a black lid bucket, right? Because when you get into those deeper colors, you get into different nutrients. You get more antioxidants. And then I have blues, which I haven't even attempted to use yet. And I've got a couple of reds, which I haven't even attempted to use yet. Right? So. Okay, so I'll be back. Look how nice. Look at that. You sprout these. Right? And you put them in with your bread. Or whatever. You put them in with your rice. Those are lovely. See? Something like these beluga lentils. I could make blueberry juice, right? And blend in that type of a lentil, color on color, so you don't, because you know how people are, right? Not that Andre, or not that Amari or I would care, but I'm hearing something over there. Hold on a minute. I'm so sad, people. I just came in from outside because there was some people in my, in the back, right? And they were arguing. Clearly they were homeless. A couple, a man and a woman. It reminded me of Sierra and Austin. And I went out, because I wasn't sure if it was my son or whatever. I just heard voices. And, I'm not one of those people to stand back and watch, right? I'm one to go and intervene and help somebody if they need help, or right? So anyway, I said, "You guys okay?" And the woman, no. He's doing this and he's doing that. He's being aggressive, right? And I'm like, well, just calm down. I know it's rough for you. I mean, again, I could tell they were struggling, right? I said, I know it's tough. It's rough, right? Just calm down. And they were, a guy was just being persistent, following her, being aggressive. I mean, obviously he calmed down a bit when I showed up, right? But and I said, like, do you guys know Sierra? Like, just calm down. Like, I know it's rough. Like, just, right? The woman said, no, I don't know Sierra. I said, well, she died. You guys just need to calm down. People, as I'm coming back in the house, I'm like I said, the government, they took out a soldier. I got a gong that I could go out and do a community event with, as if I can go out and do a community event. I mean, it's enough that I'm housebound with a disabled child and whatnot, right? And, I've lost daughters, and I'm being held financially hostage to a corrupt housing market, with a corrupt banking system, with a corrupt government. And it doesn't take much to fucking trigger me here, people, because I don't like to see this shit. Because, it could be my daughter. It was my daughter. I wouldn't wish this upon anybody. And, my first instinct is, how can I help, right? But the community as a whole, they don't care, right? They just, their attitude, oh, it's the government's problem. Let the government house them. Yeah, well, it's not that simple, because, it's organized religion that participates in organized criminal activity that creates these problems, people. And it comes from different partner groups. It's not just one particular, one can't do what the other one does without the other one helping them, right? And, and it's like, it's a human, people are just, I feel so sad and so helpless, and, it's so hard for me to connect because I'm so housebound, and now I got this issue to deal with, and and I don't know how to help people. I just don't know how. I just don't know. because I know they're not getting the help that they really truly need, because been there, done that with my own child. Okay. I know the root cause. I know what happens for the period of time that it happens, and I know the end result. Okay? And I know why. I know all these things, and I'm helpless to do anything about it outside of maybe do a YouTube video and talk about it, right? As if, right? As if it's going to make much of a difference. It's not going to make no difference. But now I want to cry. I want to cry for that. You're young people, right? You know? Fuck. Beluga beans. Sorry. Beluga lentils all over the place. Turn off this camera and focus. Can't see, right? Missed the bag. Clearly you heard that. When Sierra got pregnant, right? All those people out there out in the streets, quote unquote, the handlers, were trying to convince her to abort Andre. I've mentioned that before in my previous videos, right? And of course I encouraged her not to. I told her, don't worry. Drugs have been around for thousands of years. Right? You know, don't worry about birth defects and all that other stuff. Right? Just because there are no guarantees in life. And if there was such a huge issue around drug use when it comes to pregnancy and birth defects and all that other stuff, you'd hear more about it in terms of there would be a lot of people that would be disabled. Let's just put it that way. Right? Just because you did drugs doesn't mean you have to go off and abort your baby. But you see, they didn't care about that. They didn't care about the baby. They cared about pimping Sierra. That's what it was about. Basically, keeping her out, strung out, and just everything, right? So anyway, just like what happened today, I heard arguing in the back, right? I didn't know if it was my son or what, because I heard, fuck you, right? And I'm like, is it my son? You know, like, who's he arguing with? I better go out there, right? But it wasn't. It was this couple that reminded me of Sierra and Austin. And, you know, like, with what our schools are now teaching young people from various grades on, right, from kindergarten up, with these lewd books that are basically based on smut and soft porn, or in some cases porn, from what I was looking at in terms of that, you know, Liberty Talk News interviewing that fella that was exposing these books that are in public school libraries. Where kids have free access to it. As they're bringing in more of this garbage, as they're building in playgrounds that have private body parts as playground equipment. Like, this is messed up. And they're teaching kids to devalue women and to take advantage of girls and, you know, boys too, I'm sure, right? But there's a big emphasis on getting kids to hate their bodies and hate themselves and lean towards being more asexual, antisocial, just, you know, changing their sexes, being violent, justifying violence against other individuals for sexual purposes. You know, this is what I mean. Like, whatever the government is doing with their employees, people, their union, public sector union employees, people, okay? Because this is all being facilitated through the government and their employees, people, through their different ministries and portfolios, people. They're just making it that much harder for those individuals that are locked into that manufactured poverty out in the streets. And it upsets me so much. It makes me so sad, because as hard as I tried to help Sierra, just nothing ever really worked, because I wasn't strong enough to do it on my own, people. And she was being sabotaged left, right, and center through those various handlers in the community that were profiteering off of her and her demise, along with the rest of those people basically out there. And they're dying. They're dying in the hundreds a month out here. Right? Like hundreds of them at a time, within a month. Month after month, year after year after year. With the numbers getting higher and higher as the government keeps blaming these victims. By blaming the victims, they did it to themselves. It was an accident or it was a suicide, never murder. No, that's bullcrap, people. Total freaking bullcrap. As the cops cover up murder. I told you, it doesn't take much to trigger me. Just want to cry. Because they're so vulnerable. You know? And the government doesn't want to see them in housing because, you know, then they have to pay. What, $375 for rent? Or is it $425 now? Maximum, as if they're going to find a place for $425 a month in rent. No, because that's been manufactured out of the agenda. Right? That's why my kids were serving 1,000 homeless people back in the day when they were working in McDonald's, as those people that were homeless were living at McDonald's and on the property for the majority of them, right? Because our landlords and property owners flushed everybody out through that organized religion, through that organized crime in partnership with the government. Mm-hmm. And I don't know how to help them people, as if my gong can do anything for them. The world is definitely run by devils and non-humans. While a fair amount of humans do the dirty work of those individuals, hoping that they won't be next. Yeah. They're probably still fighting. Maybe she got hurt. Maybe she got hurt, people. Because they ran off that way. You heard that cop. They just stopped. It's just over there. Oh. It upsets me so much. Because he was following her. He wouldn't leave her alone. What's the matter? He wouldn't leave her alone. He was chasing her around. If he would have started beating on her and pulling on her, because one time I went out in the back and Austin was choking the shit out of Sierra when she was pregnant. It's just she was trying to fight him off and I had to beat him off, people. Right? If that guy was out there beating on that girl, I would have started beating him off. Like, get off her, leave her alone, go away, get out of here, motherfucker, get the fuck out of here, right? I would have put, it wouldn't matter whether I can see or not, I just would have done it. Where a lot of other people would just stand there with their cell phone and record it and hope that they would get a viral video. Yeah, okay. That's what's wrong with the world today. Everybody's waiting for the next viral video as they sacrifice those around them and have no moral compass of any kind. What's going on out there?
Nothing, just a fire truck went to the complex.
What? Fire truck?
Yeah, just went to the complex.
Well, I don't know. There was some people fighting out in the back. I hope it's not that young woman. Hope she's okay. Or maybe the guy, for all we know, right? You can't really just stereotype that only women are abused, because they're not. These males out here are abused too, right? Just as much, if not more sometimes, depending on who they're coming into contact with.
Maybe to the store to get a bag of chips.
What?
Can I go to the store to get a bag of chips?
Can you wait? I'm doing a video.
Yeah, just go fast.
Hold on. Let me turn off the camera.
I'll wait till you're done, man.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. He's getting big for his britches. That's what it is. And you know, I do cry for Sierra almost every day, as much as I cry for ShaMay, as much as I cry for Uncle John. I don't cry for Amari because, you know, he's here, but I do cry for Amari. Okay? You know, I always say it's not fair what happened to you, Amari. Like, it's not your fault. Like, you know, how dare these people do what they did. But I do. I cry for Sierra. You know, I mourn her. I cry for her. I feel sorry for her. I'm sad for her. You know, all that loose harvesting crap, right? Same thing for ShaMay, you know, in terms of, you know, being straight up murdered in their own house, but was pre-planned and premeditated before that even happened, while other people helped to make it happen, right? You know, so that other people could reap the financial benefits around that situation, right along with Uncle John and all this. Like, if John's sister would have done the right thing and let him know that he got an inheritance from Joan, he suspected it, but he didn't want to phone up and ask because he didn't want to appear to be greedy. He said, Judy, should I phone? And I said, well, I don't know, John, that's up to you. You know, you have to make that decision for yourself. He said, well, I'll just wait and see. And yeah, wait and see. They never called him. They medically kidnapped him instead. But if they would have done the right thing and let him know that he had it, well, first of all, we would have moved out of this house. That would have been the first thing. And we would have gotten a nice house for him because he was getting older, right, with a walk-in shower. And, I mean, he had all the kids. And if need be, we could have had a physiotherapist come in or whatever, right? And he would have been so spoiled, people, you don't even know. Sierra, at that time, was still struggling with drug addiction. I'm sure we would have put her in someplace safe with, you know, patients. When they're coming off the street like this, they need a safe place where there's a lot of patience because they're angry and they lash out and they're abrasive and they're bipolar, and it takes a long time to get them to just, right? And they just need time and patience. And we had Sierra at that point. We got her to that point, and then, like I said, those social workers, they came in, they kicked her out, threw her out there, fed her to the wolves, took Andre to fucking rub salt in the wounds, and she never recovered. But if John would have gotten that money, we would have moved out of here. John would have taken, you know, first precedence, and we would have found a place for Sierra where she could have healed people and came back home. They didn't want that to happen, did they? Nope. ShaMay would have went to college and would have been a nurse within 2 years, registered. And then she would have went on to be a surgery nurse. But they didn't want that because the nurses that they got for in the operating room, a lot of them are snatching out body parts and selling them on the black market and making extra money on the side. So why would they want someone ethical like ShaMay? It would risk, you know, it would put their operation at risk. So they didn't want her anywhere running around in a hospital being responsible and productive. Instead, they took her out. And they used their handlers to manipulate her killers to do it. Whether that was done through energy weapons, which is documented in my videos that goes through my fucking house, goes through my yard, or whether they made a deal, to which I'm starting to think there was a deal in there because of that fake car accident with that big payout. And the falsifying of her medical records to say that she never got prenatal care, which is a bunch of crock because she went to the same fucking clinic that Sonia 1 worked at the time. In terms of Julian's mother, that's where she worked. Yeah. But for whatever reason, ShaMay didn't go there, which is a bunch of crock. Because that you go into her medical files at the clinic, they don't keep the pregnant women. They send them to the prenatal clinic. So it'd be written down in her medical files at the clinic. Not to mention I have her on video saying that she came from the prenatal clinic. Plus, she sent Tisha there when Tisha got pregnant. This is so much bullshit. Oh, I'm dealing with lentils and the dust.
Okay, people. Fire truck and outputs just came. Now, thank you. Don't know what happened. All I hear is just a fire truck. The ambulance going by. Yeah, I'll be back. Give me a sec. Okay, people, so yeah, I'm at the complex right now, and something happened at my friend's house. Yeah, I don't know what happened, but yeah, something happened. This place is right here, right in there. So, yep, that's it. Bye.
So, that's the black rice, wild rice, right? And the one, I can't see, Cantatelli beans. So that will be in a random. And then I just left myself a little bit of black rice, beluga lentils for sprouting, and then the wild rice, not including what I already have in my cupboards. And then, right, you can see. Okay, February 11th of 2023. See that box here? Where is it? Right there. That has another 25 pounds of Cantatelli beans, organic, and then I bought 50 pounds of millet, because I don't have millet. I've been bypassing millet, but I broke down and I bought millet, and we're going to talk about millet, okay? And this cat's back in heat, man, driving me freaking nuts. So as you can see, getting ready to start my day. Finished up with my powder milk. So this is the skim milk, and I already got 22 pounds of powder milk whole downstairs, and then another 22 pounds of the skim, plus what I have already down there, right? I got some dates. I still have dates in a dehydrator. And hold on. Okay, I know I said I wasn't going to do it, but I'm going to tell you why I did it in a minute, okay? But before we go into that, we've got another 25 pounds of organic Cantatelli beans. So that's 75 pounds that I have now. And then we've got this millet. Now, I don't have millet, and I'll tell you why. I'm just going to sit here in my little corner for now. Hold on a minute. Okay, I only got a little bit of coffee left in my cup. And I'm already tired now. I haven't even started. It's still like really early in the morning. But I'm moving around. So, you're probably wondering why I went against what I said I was going to do. Well, two reasons. Turns out millet is a pretty good food group within the grains. Okay, millet is actually a quote-unquote grain, and it has more nutrition than rice. Okay. Obviously, it's not something I cook with a lot, or at all for that matter. Now, back in the day when I was going through my buckets in my pantry or wherever, you know, in those days I was buying from the grocery store those little 1 pound bags of millet pearl barley, whatever. Kind of just threw them all into a bucket. Didn't do what I'm doing now, that's for sure. They sat there for a long time. Eventually I got into the bucket and cleared it out and put things in jars and got them out of the plastic. And anyway, long story short, when I got to the millet, the plastic had started to deteriorate. Now that's not the first time I've come across a product where that issue occurred. I don't like that. That's why when I vacuum seal this kind of stuff, I like to put it in the paper bag as an insulation between the plastic and the food, to prevent the plastic from a chemical reaction maybe with the food, where it oxidizes the plastic itself and it deteriorates the plastic, and you can feel it and you can see it, right? So because it was millet, and when I got into the bigger bulk of food prepping, I just avoided millet all the way around. I did the buckwheat, I did the large flake oats, I did steel cut oats. Now I've got the whole groat oats, which I actually really like. I did various types of wheats, the mung beans, did a whole bunch of different kind of lentils, right? I didn't get into the barley so much because I had in those little bags, and I got them in my jars, and and I would only really use barley for soup, so it's not like I wanted to start stockpiling on barley. Plus, I don't think barley is one that really can sit for a long time, per se. And because of that situation with the millet in that bag at that time, I just avoided millet altogether. Anyway, fast forward to now, umpteen years later, I've decided to give millet a chance, because that is another food group, people, that is good to control blood sugar, right? And with our supply chain, with our foods changing through different methods of manipulation, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be eating, I don't want to say junk food or processed food, much more, I would think, than before, just because they're hungry. But it doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to get the proper nutrients. And maybe, they get the calories, but they're not getting the nutrients. And if you don't have the nutrients to offset the spike in the blood sugar, that's how diabetes develops, right? Well, millet is a food that is digested slowly and releases, I guess, the sugar into the blood slowly. So you've got the rye, you've got the Cantatelli bean and the Great Northern bean, the two of them, okay? And you've got the oats, right? The whole oat groat, okay? And now millet, and plus spelt. Spelt is easy to digest, and certain foods digest faster or slower, and if they digest slower and give off their energy slower, that's what helps to stabilize the blood sugar, either as a preventative measure to developing diabetes or as a measure to control diabetes. Okay, so that's an added bonus, and with that, and just with the amount of nutrients, and it has more than rice, and I'll give it a fair shake, right? So I ordered 50 pounds, and because of my experience with keeping millet in a plastic bag, in a container, over a long period of time, and how the plastic itself oxidized with the grain, like I didn't even salvage it. I just put that into my compost because I didn't like the feel of the plastic, okay? It was greasy, right? It somehow absorbed something from the millet itself. Like all the other bags were fine except the millet. And then, okay? So that's why I use the paper bag when I do this stuff, to help prevent that from happening to any food that I put away long term, right? Or for any period of time. Okay. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to attempt to do that. I'm going to use an oxidant absorber. I'm going to just double check, before I throw in the oxidant absorber. It's a hit and miss with these things with me. I don't necessarily... Anyway, it doesn't matter. Right now I'm giving them a fair shake, right? So I will just double check that it's okay to put an oxidant absorber into millet, which I'm pretty sure I already read that that's what you do. You put it into a Mylar bag with the oxygen absorber, you seal it up, and you're good to go for 20 years. Yeah, okay. Well, I'm going that little step further. I'm putting them into paper bags. Put the oxygen absorber into the paper bag, fold it over, tape it, vacuum seal, right, the plastic, and then put the plastic into the Mylar with another extra oxygen absorber. That's what I've been doing. All right? Because I don't plan on doing this much longer, and this is the stuff that, just... If it can extend the shelf life even, for a little while, like 5-6 years or whatever, right? Or 10 years, then I guess we'll know in 5 or 6, 10 years from now. I think it's better to do it that way than just throw it into a Mylar bag. Although I do have some things just thrown into a Mylar bag with an oxygen absorber. But those will go away for a long term, right? So it's a mixed match, modge positive, a little bit of this and a little bit of that. So that's why I bought the millet, because I'm in the middle of finishing up what I'm doing. And I'm going through these buckets that I bought, and I'm going through these gamma lids, just whatever. And, I have these extra oxygen absorbers. But what happened was I took away Andre's Nintendo for 24 hours. He doesn't like it when I hide it, right? The last time I hid it, I said, don't poke the bear. I moved it, he poked the bear, and I forgot where I put it. Eventually he found it in the, right, about 4 or 5 days later, because I completely forgot, because where I initially had it, I had the remote controls in there, and I was surprised he never did see the Nintendo, so I decided to move it just in case he went back looking for it, and sure enough he did, right? Because he's, he's getting sneaky, right? He thinks, it's mine. I can, it's mine. I want it. I'm keeping it. It's mine. You can't take it away from me. Whatever. I can play it when I want. It's mine. And I'm like, no, it doesn't work like that. Like, no, So, anyway, what was it that he did? Oh, I don't know. He did something. Oh, yeah. I fall asleep, right? That's what happens. I fall asleep. And he takes advantage of it because I'm on a different sleeping schedule than him. And I woke up and it was going on like 1 in the morning or something like that. Yeah. And he was on that stupid Nintendo. And I've been, he's gotten into trouble for this before. Right? So I took it away for 24 hours. That's what happened. But he crying on, oh, don't hide it, you're going to lose it, and you want to throw it out in the garbage, and you don't like it, and it's mine, I can do it, you can't take it away. And I'm like, shut up. Okay, we'll just leave it here by my computer desk. But don't touch it. Because I am trying to teach him not to lie, not to steal, not to sneak around people's back, to be responsible, to be dependable, to be trustworthy. What else? All that good stuff, to have a sense of moral compass, right? To have a sense of self-respect, to have dignity, right? But most of all, to be able to know that people can trust you, that you have a really good sense of character, right? And I tried to explain to him that, whether you end up getting lots of money in life, you still have to have those characters But sometimes the more money people have, the less they have those characters. And if I had to choose, I would choose for you to be within of meager means, in terms of, you don't have to be rich, you don't even have to be wealthy, you don't even have to be middle class. And if it is, you're poor, you still have to have a strong character where people can trust you. That's why I left that Nintendo on my desk, because I know him, right? And he did all day pretty good. I have to give him credit, right? He didn't badger me too much. He was eyeballing it. He was trying to manipulate me to give it to him in the evening. I wouldn't. I told him to back off, and he did. Okay. Anyway, I ended up laying down. I fell asleep. Because I get exhausted, people. Literally, I get exhausted. And sure enough, I woke up. And he must have heard me stirring, moving around a bit. So, but I stayed still and I listened. And I could hear that thing on. I laid there for about 5-10 minutes. And you know what that little bugger did? I'm not sure where he was. I think he was sitting up by my computer desk doing whatever. And then he put it down and he snuck off into the bedroom. Because by the time I got up, he wasn't even in here. But when I went down to the bedroom, and it was around 1:30 in the morning, right? Because like I say, this is not easy for me. Anything these days is not easy for me. And I mean, I'm not some fucking robot here that can work 24/7, but that's pretty much what it boils down to sometimes, right? Like, it's pathetic. But besides that point, So I go down towards the bedroom. The light's off, but the hall light is on. I go in towards the bedroom, and who comes walking with the cat in his arms? Andre. And then I called him on it. At first he tried to deny it. I said, no, it ain't gonna work. Aren't you listening to me? Like, I told you, don't touch it, right? It's important that Nana can learn to leave it there. Now you know why I have to hide it, because I can't trust you, Andre, to not touch it. Oh, but the battery didn't, or the chip or something didn't want it to, I don't know, run out. I don't know what the heck he was going on about. I said, listen, that thing sat there all day, and not once did you ever stop to say anything about it. And that's not true, because I've taken it away from him before, right? At worst, the battery's just going to run out on the machine, and then he has to recharge it, right? So it's just so, I hate this thing, people. Anyway, so I sent him to bed. He didn't even try to poke the bear, because I was starting to get a little annoyed by this point. And we're at 1:30 in the morning or whatever the hell it was. And if I get loud, Marcane will come up, and he doesn't want to deal with Marcane. So he shut himself. Like, he didn't argue. He tried to. I said, no, I heard it. Don't try and lie to me. I know you had it on, right? Why? If you just would have left it alone, you would have got it tomorrow. And now I'm going to ground you. Oh, well, I said, I'll tell you tomorrow. I'll figure it out tomorrow, and I'll let you know. I'll go talk to Marcane, and I'll let you know. Okay, so whatever. So he goes to bed. He's more scared of Marcane than he is of me, I can tell you that right now. And I don't mean scared, but the last thing he wants is Marcane coming up here and giving him a 2-hour lecture. and if he thinks my voice can get loud, Marcane's voice can get like 10 times louder than mine, okay? And we used to be a real loud, screamy family, so, it wouldn't be unusual, right? So he went to bed, and okay, so the next morning he gets up, but by the time I go, I'm doing whatever, and I laid back down and I thought about it, and I'm like, how can I deal with this problem? And there's only a short window of time before, he's like a really rebellious teen, and I don't want him to be a rebellious teen. And I'm telling you, people, if he was in the public school system right now, It wouldn't be good. Oh no, he'd be so targeted in there with those handlers out there trying to get him addicted to drugs and rebelling against me and running the streets and just, and they'd be using this little fucking bullshit crap, right? Just to get him hooked. And then once they get him hooked, it's just, oh. So I'm like, hang in there, Judy, he's a good kid and but the thing is, he doesn't like to read like his mom, and he struggles with it, and and just whatever. So okay, so I said, to fuck with it, to heck with it, to boo boo with it. I said, okay, so I've been meaning to do this for a while, and I did. A year and a half ago, or whatever the heck it was, I bought a recording program. It's called what is it called? Interface or something, I don't know. Anyway, it's a unit that plugs into your computer that has a mic, and you install a program into it, and you can plug in a guitar into it if you want, or a keyboard. The point is you can play music or sing into the mic, and it records it into the little unit and then imports it into the computer, and then through the editing program, that's how you can take clips of this and clips of that and put them together and make music. I bought one like that about a year and a half, 2 years ago, but my son ended up scooping up on it and I never got it back. So I ended up calling up Long and McQuaid. Was on the phone for like 2 hours with them, going through what I needed to set up a system for Andre so that he can take this energy that he has and apply it onto something that actually can create something, right? And I went off and I bought because ShaMay's laptop, I don't know, doesn't work. But besides that point, that went on the blink when we were working on the court case with the Attorney General and the Solicitor of Public Safety and Solicitor Attorney General, that lawsuit against the government. Rhea was helping me in using that computer, and then Tisha went to go pick it up. I don't know, left it in the van while she ran off into Canadian Tire or something, came back, gave me the computer. When I went to go plug in the computer and turn it on, it won't turn on. So in transit, it went out on the blink. So I had to buy a laptop, because you need a laptop really to be able to move around with your mic to record whatever it is that you want to record, because it doesn't have to be just music, it can be sounds, right? Like Amari or whatever, Amari singing or whatever. We can take I can record Amari's voice singing or whatever he does. Andre can make a little tune. We can put the two together and make a little song. Listen, that is better than sitting there on this little 6-inch by 3-inch little gooning and becoming keyboard warrior, only they're not. This isn't even a keyboard. And a big little smarty pants who thinks they know everything, but yet are too stubborn to take their education serious, because it's hard, right? And, it's not fun. And Andre can be very like, you don't want me to have no fun. Whatever, Andre. Long story short, I spent oh my God, you don't even know. I think something like $1,500. Pretty close. Between the computer, the program with the mic, has headphones. I got some extra guitar strings, because I have all the guitars in the house, right? But just got some extra guitar strings. 2 different types of keyboards, because he is, if he doesn't like one, he'll figure out which one he likes better. And if he gets a choice, he'll be more apt to play it. Versus if I give him one and he's, struggling with it because, he has to think. and uses, just whatever. That's not what he wants. He wants to do this and zone out, or just sit in front of a TV and zone out. No, it ain't happening. I told him when my kids were all home young, 5 of them at one time, I'd take away the TV for a whole year, people. VCR, cable, all of it. They had no TV. None. Okay? I did it for a reason. The problem with that, though, is they get bigger, and once they're a little more independent, the next thing you know, they're coming home with their own freaking cell phones. And then once they get on these stupid cell phones, like their personality changes. They come into contact with things that aren't good for them, and they get lured off to go off and do stupid things, even though I'm telling them not to do it. They think they know what they're doing, and, because that says over there that it's okay, and I'm like, no, it's not. You don't know what you're doing. Or, these games, they're corrupting, they're making you moody, or, they're giving you a false sense of reality, or whatever. But once they hit a certain age, you lose them. You lose him, right? So I don't want to lose Andre, Not to say I won't lose him to technology, but if I can give him a better foundation by spending this kind of money, right, to get him going on it and doing what I can, or maybe even Uncle Marcaine, plus he has his little friend, Jude, that, they can create something, because, give him a couple months, if he can do all this other stuff with TV and remote and whatever he does, he can learn how to figure out that kind of stuff, right? It's not like he's going to be doing it completely by himself. That will help to improve his reading, critical thinking skills, organization skills, and it will build his self-esteem. He's actually going to produce something, right? And then I bought this vinyl recorder, because I have like thousands of records in this house that at this point nobody wants. If ShaMay was alive, she'd take them, just like she'd take the books. But she's not here, so. And so I'm going to get Andre to help me to record them onto a computer, and then I'll put those files onto a external hard drive. And as he's doing that, he can sit down in front of another computer and type out the title of the album, flip it over, and type out the songs. It's going to take him a few months to get into that routine. At first it's going to be a struggle, because it's not quote-unquote fun, right? It takes effort and concentration and due diligence and perseverance. And but at the end of the day, it's going to help him with his reading and writing skills, as well as, I would suspect, computer skills, which is a whole lot better than this shit. Okay. So that thing was a bit of money, but whatever. So we're going to try this again, or we're going to try and make music of some kind, or something, once all this stuff is put away. Now, and then I told him, as he gains some skills, right, gets going on it, he has to learn how to copyright whatever it is that he creates. And because Marcaine has already written a book, and I think he's in the process of trying to publish it online, he can kind of guide us, or Andre, to up his game as Andre develops skills and maybe creates a great little song, you never know, and wants to publish it online on his own YouTube channel or something like that, right? That's what I mean by, because I think prior to this, I was talking about values. Like, how do you, like, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. You can provide things for your kids, and they don't necessarily see it as anything of value until, of course, they absolutely want to have it. Then, of course, they think that they have a right to have it. You see, that's the problem with kids. They think, well, I don't want that. That's garbage. It's redundant. It has nothing to do with how I value things. But if it was to reverse, where all of a sudden whatever it was that they didn't want becomes extremely important and hard to get a hold of, but it's right there in front of them, only it belongs to mom. That's where kids, I don't care what the age is, seem to think that they have the entitlement mentality just to expect to get it because they're came from me. And it's my responsibility as a parent, all of a sudden, after all these years, to give it to them just because they're kids. I like how they pull the kid card when it's convenient for them, right? But I don't see it like that. I just see it like, opportunity to grow. Like the same like with this food stuff, like these white buckets, the 2-gallon ones. I'm putting a few of them downstairs, stacked with the, hard white wheat, red white wheat, cantatelli beans, just some oats, whatever is miscellaneous that I'm not bucketing up or boxing up or whatever or jarring up. And after it's all said and done, I'm just going to tell my son, if you want to borrow the Wonder Mill and grind your own wheat with your girlfriend to make some bread with whatever's there, by all means do it. Because that's what it's there for. Whether he does it or not, people, remains to be seen. But by that time, assuming that I can see, I should be able to do it for myself upstairs. And it might take me a half a year of making bread, sending bread down, for him to decide to make his own bread. And then he'll walk into Auntie ShaMay's room, and he'll see those buckets there, still sitting there, like, oh, Mom said I can take that and make my own bread if I want. Well, maybe today is the day I'll try it. And that's when he'll go for the bucket and then ask me to borrow the food mill. And if he really likes it, eventually he'll get rebellious. And before he'd continue to borrow my food mill, he'd go off and buy his own. Because we already know how he kind of resents my stuff, invading his kitchen with his girlfriend. He might borrow it for 1 or 2 times, but if he likes it, he'll just get rebellious, because that's what kids do, even as adults. And he'll go off and he'll buy his own food mill for grain. And then I can sit back and I can, as a mother, can just say, mission accomplished. If I can get you to buy your own food mill and grind up the wheat that I have in the house, just because I made it available to you and you had time to think about it and mull it over your mind and, try a few slices of my bread, then yeah, I think I did a pretty damn good job. Will it come to that? I don't know. Because this is where kids are individuals. And if they don't have to do it, they won't necessarily do it. If it's inconvenient compared to, it's simpler for them to just go buy a loaf of bread in the grocery store, because at this point in life they can afford it. And bread is still fairly available. Well, what's going to happen in 3 years from now when that bread is 3 times the price that you're paying today, and the selection is 1/3 of what you used to have, and there might be cricket flour in it, okay? I think that's when you're going to go look at that pantry with that wheat in there, with that food mill, and that's when it's going to dawn on you that your mother was trying to teach you something. Well, it's the same principle with Andre. So because I spent so much money basically on Andre, and he's still ungrateful because he doesn't realize what I'm trying to do for him, right? And then he turned around and he did that when I fell asleep, as I'm trying to teach him to be honorable and respectful, and it's important for people to trust, to have trust with him, right? You got to be a trustworthy character than versus one of criminal mind. People who lie, steal, connive, plot, scheme, hurt, maim, injure, they're of criminal mind. They have no character of substance, right? You can't trust them. You can never trust them. And once you come to that conclusion, that's when you just kind of want to remove yourself from the toxicity of those types of people. I don't want Andre growing up to be full of toxicity, right? But he's a knucklehead. And he's impulsive. And he's easy to lead astray with that kind of stuff. All right? So I'm playing real hardball with him. I grounded him for 60 days this time. Instead of 30 days, I grounded him for 60 days. And I told him, you keep badgering me, and I took away the TV too. You know, and he's playing on me, oh, well, you want pizza right now, you know, pizza, because he knows if I order pizza, I'll want TV, and if I want TV, then I'll pull out the remotes, and then he gets TV, and I tell him, look, I'm not even watching TV because of you and your antics, like, don't talk to me about pizza, right, because I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to manipulate me to go get the remotes to turn on the TV, so that I can fall asleep, and then you can sit there and watch TV. No, you're grounded. Well, can we watch TV sometime, Nana? Well, yeah, talk to me in a little while, like in a week or two or something. Just don't poke the bear, don't badger me, don't talk to me about it. What is done, deal with it, right? Suck it up, buttercup, right? Right? Oh my God. But yeah, 60 days. And I'm warning him, if you think you're going to badger me every day, poke the bear. Because you can wear me down, because that's what he does. That's why Marcaine has to come and intervene, because Marcaine can hear how he's really rough on me in terms of being a smarty pants, right? Then I just told him I'm going to add an extra day if you keep up with the antics. So yesterday he only bugged me a few times. And I told him 61, but he backed off immediately. So I'll cut him some slack. We're still at 60 days. So I got 60 days to work with him with this new computer, the mic. He gets a choice of 2 different little keyboards. I'll hook up a guitar. I got tuners, right? New strings. I have 2 different electric guitars to choose from. I have acoustics, all kinds of musical instruments in here. Banjo, ukulele, a gong, 2 types of gongs, all kinds of stuff. Drums, different kinds, a cowbell, harmonicas, flutes. He has a trumpet. Tisha has a saxophone, which I should be digging out. I told him I'm going to, as this is going out the door, I have everything to teach him basic chords, to read notes, to learn what tempo is, what rhythm is, that kind of stuff, right? And we'll just go in increments. And then as he's creating something, I'll teach him how to convert it into a video with images of something, right? And we'll upload it, right? And by that time we'll be hardcore in the kitchen cooking up some good stuff, right? Because I got it here now. So that's kind of what I've been doing. So after I spent all that money on Andre, you know, I said, to heck with it. You're in the middle of all these buckets. Just get the millet. You have it. Incorporate that into your staples. You knew I wanted to get another Cantatelli, so we've got that. Because when I was vacuum sealing what I was doing, I ended up taking some out from my 2-gallon bucket. So I need to fill that back up and then probably put another, whatever's left over, in another bucket, and then that can go downstairs. And then my son can experiment with bean burgers maybe. I'll tell him, you see that? That's for bean burgers if you're interested. If not, just leave them alone and I'll get to them sooner or later. So that's what I've been doing. So I'm at 14 grand for a lawyer for Amari. I already spent 6 grand. Just finishing up basically with this stuff, and then I topped off another 2 grand for this other stuff with the records. It's another program that he can learn to use, and he can type out the titles, and then I'll decide whether I want to sell them or not. I don't know what to do with them, people. I got some really wicked ass records, like really nice records. Or maybe we'll just log them, put them on a flash drive, not a flash drive, like, you know, put them on a computer and then just put them on an external hard drive. And then, I don't know what my kids are going to do with them. Andre might grow up and keep them if I live long enough. Right? He's going to help with Amari. I'll try and teach him to help with Amari. Because he's going to be big like his dad. Tall and long and lanky. Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. So let me get on with vacuum sealing up the millet and putting these Cantatellis into some 2-gallon buckets. And then the only thing I want after the fact is some more black wild rice, but it's very expensive. For $378, you get 28 pounds. Sorry. For $378 at this point, you get 25 pounds. But you only get 5 pounds if you spend 185. So it's better if you go for the 25 pounds for $378. To which that's probably what I'll do because of those nutrients. And because it has the husk on it, and you vacuum seal it or whatever, put it in a jar, it'll sit forever. It won't go nowhere. No. I have to get motivated. So that's how I did the millet. Oxygen absorber inside, and then I'm going to put oxygen absorber in this as well. Okay, so I'm going to finish this video. I'm not doing anything special here other than got all the millet the way I want it in terms of for storage. The only thing about putting this kind of stuff this way into a bucket is it doesn't fit in uniformly. So, from time to time, in my travels, over the next, it seems bright in here, year or two or whatever it is, I'll keep an eye open for rectangular tubs that are of really hard plastic. Something difficult for any kind of rodent to chew through. However, those house rats can chew through almost anything. Like I said, they're about the size of my fist, and they're black. And I seem to be getting a glare. I don't know. Anyway, with that said, these are all going into buckets with gamma lids for now. Because using up what I have. And, yeah. So, I got some good news in terms of, and it kind of falls in with this video, really, in line. Like, it's perfect. Because, I was talking about values. How do you, I don't want to say instill, because you can't, just because you want one of your kids to do something or to learn something or to be something or to do something a certain way or to accept your ways or whatever it is, right? They all go off in their own different directions once they hit a certain age and they become their own personalities. Okay, and they make their own decisions and they have their own interests and they go astray for a while and then they start to wander back and, start showing an interest in the things that you do. Like, if ShaMay was here, she'd be canning with me because she was showing an interest with that before she was murdered, people. And she would definitely be doing this kind of stuff, right, and she'd be helping me with paperwork and just a whole 9 yards. But, life is unpredictable and you can't be afraid to live it, right? So in the meantime, I told you why I bought what I bought for Andre, basically, right? To help him, one, with his reading and writing and critical thinking skills. And, well, I don't know about the writing part because he doesn't like to read any more than he likes to write. But he'll be using a keyboard, typing out record labels and that type of thing. So that's how much he'll do. Hard to say. It's going to take him a while to get motivated. I might have to bribe him. Well, if you do that, I'll give you $20 because he's starting to show an interest in money now, right? So, okay. So anyway, and I explain these things to him, people. I just don't simply say, oh, Nana bought a laptop and, a music recording program with, you get a choice of 2 different little keyboards, because I want him to at least latch on to one. So they look different. They have little different buttons. So, between the two, him fooling around, figuring out which one he likes, when he decides which one he likes, then he'll be more apt to, one, appreciate it and hopefully use it, right? Because, he kind of knows what he's doing now, right? By the time he gets to that point in terms of deciding what he likes. And I can still bring in a big keyboard, right? If I wanted to. These are just little keyboards. Okay, so anyway. And I tell him because, I want you to, grow up with, good attitude and, be productive and be creative. And, if Nana takes away your Nintendo, it's only because I love you and you can be mad at me now and thank me later, right? In terms of learning what, establishing a moral character is about in terms of a human being having to go through life. Now, in the meantime, as I'm trying to teach him this, okay, that it's important that people can trust you. It's important that you don't lie. It's important that you don't sneak around. It's important that you don't steal, right? It's important that you clean up after yourself and, have a good attitude about it. That kind of stuff, right? Well, you have to, right? Let them know what is expected of them. Right? And, it kind of goes in one ear and out the other, right? Because all he wants to do is play on his Nintendo, right? So he's trying to, he's not thinking about what I'm saying. He's strategizing how he can come around the corner and say, well, Nana, and, start a conversation, and then it turns into leading towards badgering me to give him the Nintendo just for 1 minute. I'm like, yeah, okay. As if it's going to be 1 minute, Andre. No, 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 no. 60 days is 60 days. I'm holding my ground, right? And, okay. Yeah, I was wondering about that. The battery ran out. It wasn't plugged in. It was over there. Okay, so anyway, as I was saying, right? 60 days is 60 days, Andre. You don't get 1 minute, you don't get 1 hour, you don't get nothing. You get 60 days, that's it. Because I know I'm got things that he's going to be hopefully poking around with, right? Like the keyboard and that kind of thing, right? And so anyway, but the thing is, you have to remember that ever since ShaMay's been murdered, we've been gang-stalked, and Andre's been traumatized year after year after year by the Johnson family. Sonia Johnson. Or maybe that's not her last name. Who knows? Maybe she gave her kids the father's last name and kept her maiden name. Who knows? But Sonia won her kids, Tamika Johnson and Julian Johnson. They were stalking us before ShaMay was murdered. We just didn't, well, we knew Julian was stalking the yard and making threats on ShaMay to kill her and blow up the house and all this stupid other shit. Always ran away when it got close to time to call the cops so that he wouldn't be here and get caught, right, with that shit. Anyway, as soon as ShaMay was dead, Tamika Johnson, Sonia Johnson's daughter, I don't know, people. She'd been stalking my family and traumatizing Andre all these years. And she thinks it's funny. And it's obvious that her family condones it. I've said it before in my previous videos. I don't know what they hope to accomplish because they abandoned Mari a long time ago, so why they allow Tamika to continue to stalk my house, my yard, and my family and terrorize my grandkids, I'll never know, outside of that's what she taught her kids to be like through that, teaching them of, values, right? If Andre was doing anything like that, oh my God. With intent to be hurtful and destructive and potentially very, very, very dangerous, right? So what's been happening is, as Andre goes out to feed the rabbits and that type of stuff and just do whatever, he's been going up by the pond, and what he's been finding is, well, I guess maybe it was ShaMay's cell phone after all these years, all busted up with the battery in the water. Okay, Andre comes in and says, "Nana, there's a cell phone in the small pond," and I'm like, "Cell phone?" Yeah. So he goes, he gets a net, he digs it out, he brings it in, and it's a busted up cell phone, battery and all, up in my pond area. Okay. And I'm like, okay, well, who would do that? Well, probably the potato thief, the one that likes to pour the bleach into my plants and the bleach onto my yard and dig around and, run off with the potato stalks and all, right? You know what I'm saying? Sitting in the back with her boys talking about how they're going to murder me and all this shit to get Amari and just whatever, right? I don't know, people, this is what we've been dealing with, right? Ever since ShaMay was murdered by her and her brother, as the mother condones it and is in complete denial. And that's just the facts. Because if that wasn't the fucking facts, the mother would say, leave the bitch alone. She's obviously a fucking bitch. She's getting old. She's going blind. Maybe she'll die. And then, we'll see what happens. But no, she egging her on with that immoral freaking behavior because that's where Tamika's learnt it from, was from her mother. So, okay, and I'm like, oh, well, it must be ShaMay's phone after all these years, because that little bitch doesn't like me sitting up on YouTube talking about how she stole ShaMay's phone a week after ShaMay had an emergency C-section. And Julian and Tamika and Sonia Johnson's, they convinced ShaMay to go there and hang out there for a little while because the girls were switching rooms here, right? Because it took a while for Tisha to finally say, okay, yeah, you can have the bigger room. But as soon as they got ShaMay over there, they demanded that she start paying rent. They tricked her to fill out the birth certificate online. Sure, her name was on there, but they picked a fight with her, so she turned her head, and as she turned her head, one of them took out her name, and then pushed send, so that when it went to the federal government, the only person listed down on the birth certificate as a parent was Johnson. Like, in terms of they gave Amari Johnson. There's no Chorney in there, just Johnson. But they did it through this deceit, people. You see, that's the thing, because ShaMay told me, because when it came in the mail, she couldn't believe that her name wasn't on, like, he didn't have her name. And I said, how the hell did that happen? She told me. They were filling it out online. One of them picked a fight. I don't know which one. And when she was, that's when they took her name out and they pushed send. And then, yeah, okay. So from the very fucking first week, people, they were setting her up for failure. With their bad attitude. With no morals. Okay? I don't want Andre growing up this way, people. So, within that week, she was only there for like 2 days, people. This all occurred in 2 fucking days. And then, I don't know what happened, but next thing you know, Julian's manhandling her, pushing on her and all this shit. Now, you have to remember, she just had a C-section. Okay? Well, Tamika grabs the baby, runs down the stairs as Julian's manhandling ShaMay over something. And it was just a stage to have Julian's sister grab the baby, run down the stairs, go to mom, tell mom to phone so-and-so to come get her because she's leaving with the baby because she was going to kidnap the baby, people. As her brother was upstairs beating on my daughter, people. Because ShaMay went upstairs to go get her stuff. And they wouldn't let her do that because she was going to leave because of the whatever fucking ranky shit that goes on in that stupid house of Sonia Johnson's. Okay? And because Tamika ran off with the baby, she said, oh, forget my stuff. I'm going to go get my baby because she felt that something was funky, right? So she goes down the stairs. There's Tamika holding her baby with Sonia on the fucking phone, ready to phone somebody, if she hadn't already, to come get her daughter with the baby so they can run out the fucking door with it. Okay? With him. Right? ShaMay says, give me my baby. Tamika says, no. ShaMay says, give me my baby. Tamika says, no. ShaMay says, give me my baby. Okay, Tamika gives back the baby. Now ShaMay says, give me my phone. Tamika says, no. ShaMay says, give me my phone. Tamika says, no. ShaMay says, give me my phone. Tamika says, no. ShaMay says, then fuck you, I'm out of here. And she walked out with nothing, people, except Amari. And then, because I called her out on it after the fact, right? This scuzzy little thing that likes to steal iPhones or phones or whatever phone it was. It was a brand new phone that her father had bought her. Okay? Brand new phone. And she wouldn't give it back to ShaMay after she tried to kidnap Amari. Okay? Okay? But ShaMay leaves anyway after she gets the baby and realizes that this bitch isn't going to give her back her phone. So she just fucking leaves. She leaves her clothes behind, everything. Baby bassinet, all of it. Just all of it. She left everything that she brought with her for that little 1 week, 2 week stay, right? So they can bond as a family, as ShaMay's switching over rooms with her sister, you know, without too much stress. Oh yeah, 2 days of stress, that's all it was, nothing but stress. And then what is this thing does? She comes back up on YouTube years later, trying to cover her ass, talking about how ShaMay ran away from home right after emergency C-section, went to their place, and then started begging Tamika for $50 so she can go off and buy some fucking cocaine and go get high and party. Because she hadn't been partying for a while. Okay? Even if the bitch fucking deletes her own stupid video, I have a copy of it, people. Okay? Because she's trying to cover her ass. And then she said, well, that's why I didn't give back the phone. Because ShaMay owed me $50 because she took the money and ran off and was snorting cocaine at my mother's house. Because, well, she left the baby behind and went off and took my $50 and was snorting cocaine to go party. Yeah, okay, no, that's not what happened, people. That's not what happened. They fucking beat on her. They switched shit up on her. You know, they were wanting to kidnap Amari on her. The mother is sitting there witnessing all of this shenanigans, people. I wonder why. Because that's what the mother taught her kids. That's why her kids killed mine. That's why the mother is still in denial to this freaking day about what her kids are like. As a matter of fact, she rewards them. And that's why this bitch is now throwing broken cell phones into the pond, as well as batteries, people. Andre came in the other day. He said, there's a battery in the pond. Now I found it. He pulled out a freaking battery. So now she's running around throwing fucking batteries in the pond. If it's not the cell phone, that's the only reason the cell phone was in there all busted up. Because you know what? You can throw away the cell phone, but that story will follow you for the rest of your freaking life. Because you're a thief. Exactly. You're a fucking thief. You will always be a thief. You like to plot and scheme and plant things into other people's places so that they can whatever with your fake little lies. You're so full of fucking shit. So, as far as I'm concerned, you're just poisoning the animals in the neighborhood. That's it, bitch. Okay? You think you're, what, hurting me? Yeah, okay. No, now you're a killer of animals because animals drink from that pond. So every fucking thing that you throw in there goes into them. Okay? Just remember that. When you throw your next fucking battery into that little pond because you think you're trying to hurt me, no. You're killing the cats that come and drink from there. You're killing the fucking raccoons that come and drink from there. You're killing the birds, anything that comes and drinks from there. That's what you're doing because that's your style. You like to fucking kill things. If you're not killing fucking trees with your bleach when you're pouring them into my planter pots, you're killing the fucking grass. If you're not doing that, you're running off with potato stalks and potatoes that you can grab in the middle of the night because you're a fucking thief. And if you're not doing that, you're running around planting things like fentanyl, medical fentanyl, into other people's cigarettes when they're not looking so that you can set them up to be murdered by your, family? I wouldn't be surprised because it's already happened once. Right? Any kind of friend that would want to help you to murder somebody else is just as rotten as you. But when it comes to your family, you're one big barrel of rotten fucking goo. That's it. You're fucking goo. Your brain is putrid with goo. You have absolutely no moral compass. You are something that I do not want my grandson to grow up to be. Period. You're completely infested with dynamic freaking garbage and energy. You think you're strong, but you're weak. You're a killer of nature. You're a killer of life. So, of course, I don't want Andre to grow up like this. Right? And Andre tends to be a little compulsive or impulsive. Doesn't stop to think about his actions. Doesn't like to take responsibility for his behavior. Thinks just because he wants something, he should have it immediately. Doesn't understand the concept of a good day's work to earn your way through life in terms of a good day's work, not a deviant, destructive, evil kind of work of criminal mind. You know? But a good day's work. Right? And it doesn't have to produce billions of dollars in order to establish your personal self-worth or self-esteem. Okay? That's what character building is about, right? So anyway, so he's digging out not once, but twice, batteries that are being thrown into the pond that literally animals in the neighborhood drink from. Just let it be known for the record, okay? So as he's running around doing whatever, he sees my neighbors over here, okay? And I guess they left a bag by their vehicle and forgot about it. But Andre had enough sense, enough moral compass, people, just with the little amount of time that I've been trying to educate him on this subject, right? To take the bag up to the doorstep, knock on the door, and let the people know that they left their bag by their vehicle. And it was clear to see that they did it by accident and completely forgot about it. So they thanked him. He came home and he told me. And I reminded him that that's exactly what I'm trying to teach him. And that it's important to be trustworthy and honest. Right? And if you come into things like that, to do the right thing. Instead of thinking you can just walk off with it and keep it for yourself. Right? And I told him he did a really good job. And I was very proud of him. Right? I didn't know what was in the bag. Andre doesn't know what's in the bag. It's the action that counts here, right? All right, 2 days go by. He comes in, he goes out, he takes out the garbage for me or whatever, the recycling or whatever, right? And he comes back in and he's got this little thing of chocolates and a $20 bill in his hand. I said, what's that? He said, the neighbors gave it to me because I gave them their bag. And they told me that they really appreciate what I did for them because what was in the bag was of a lot of value, whatever that meant. It's not for me to determine what the value dollar amount was in the bag. It was valuable to them. That's what's important here, right? And Andre did the right thing. And that was their way of thanking him by giving him the $20 and the chocolate. And I'm like, oh, wow, how perfect. What perfect timing. Here I am trying to talk about values to Andre, explaining to you on YouTube here, you know, what I've been doing, which isn't really that much, right, outside of what I've been doing, right? You know, as I'm trying to build in, you know, a school program, basically, that's interactive, right? As I'm trying to educate him on being of good character, of sound mind, someone that knows boundaries, can take responsibility, right? Has a sense of common sense where self-respect plays a role in if you find something that you know doesn't belong to you and you think you know where it belongs, then before you keep it, take it to where you think it belongs and try and find, right? So he knew the people. He knew it was right by their van. And he knew to do the right thing. And he got rewarded for it without even asking people. And I'm like, oh, thank you, Lord. It was perfect timing. So I gave him a hug. I told him that I loved him and that I was so proud of him. And that, you know, I asked him if he felt good for his good deed. And he said yes. And that's what it's all about, Andre. That's what it's all about. But then, who knows, within the next month, what he's going to find in this yard because of this skanky bitch that keeps stalking my yard with her bullshit crap. And then sit up there and say she didn't have a hand in murdering my daughter. when I know for a fact she did. Because if Julian was at her mother's house on the day ShaMay's smokes were laced with medical fentanyl, Julian would have been in the pictures, and he wasn't. It was only Sonia and Sonia's couch, but I'm pretty sure Tamika was running around in the background saying, "Can I borrow a smoke? Can I have a smoke? I need to put some tobacco into my doobie." No, she ran off and she laced it with her mother's medical fentanyl. And if it wasn't her mother's medical fentanyl that she laced those smokes with, it was medical fentanyl that maybe her mother brought home and just left it conveniently for her drug dealer's son to scoop up on it and sell it on the black market, being that they were living in a 2-bedroom subsidized townhouse. And they were desperate for money, because as soon as they took ShaMay over there for that little window of just, let's bond together as a family, just for a week or so that the girls can switch the rooms around and ShaMay can go back home. No, she wasn't even there 2 days before they were asking her to start paying fucking rent. You do the math, okay? You do the fucking math. And this is what sits behind a fucking counter in a prenatal clinic, assuming that she still works there. But I don't know about that, because she got so gimped up in a car accident, which is false, right? Because I got video of her driving up in her new fucking van, acting like a freaking hoodlum, doing her fucking U's in front of my front yard, scaring my grandson. Sonia, you scared my grandson. And your crazy fucking daughter still scares my grandson. And not only that, but your fucking son murdered his aunt, okay? And you sit and do nothing except maybe plot and scheme how you can get into another car accident and rip off the public for another, what, $500,000, right? $700,000 with your fake bullshit crap as you poison your kids and the rest of your family members around you, because I'm sure you're not the only 3 like that, okay? Because you have no moral fucking compass. Absolutely none. Yeah. Absolutely none. So, don't think I don't know about these batteries being thrown into the pond. Okay? There's only so many people are going to throw in a fucking cell phone in there. Okay? All busted up. And then a battery, or maybe, who knows, I have to clean it out, get to the bottom. We'll see how many fucking batteries are in there. But this girl's so evil, she'll come back, she'll throw in a whole fucking handful just to do out of spite. So let it be known that the Johnsons on that side of the fucking family, not every Johnson, because Mark Kane's dad's last name is Johnson. So this isn't about Johnsons. This is about Sonia Johnson and her kids. All right? And anyone else that wants to be deviant with low character in terms of having morale and values and self-respect and, care about what's around them in terms of their surroundings when it comes to just life in general.